Hi, I'm Trooper Smacka.
Hi, I'm Trooper Wellman,
Please stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at being a state trooper.
and together we can make a difference.
Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with Trooper Talk with Trooper Wellman. Trooper Wellman, it's like we haven't seen each other in a long time, but thanks for being here. And so tell us what's happening and stuff like this over the past week.
Really what we've been doing, obviously we're recruiting, NevadaStatePolice.com. If you have passion to serve your great state of Nevada, come on, just go on the website. We have recruiters that will talk to you live right there. Any questions you have, they'll go over the testing process. So we've been really promoting recruiting right now, as well as Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yes.
And February 14th is also National Donor Day. And Trooper Micah May was a donor. When he, passed away. He actually saved 3 lives by donating 4 organs. So what we're doing on Monday, February 14th, is we are partnering up with the Nevada Donor Network, and all Southern Nevada agencies will be there. Law enforcement agencies will be there. And if you want to come on down to Southern Command, our major cross streets are Sunset and Decatur. From 9 to 11, we encourage the public to come down. We're going to have coffee, donuts, and we're really just trying to get people to register to be donors, and to organ donors, that is, and to save a life. Like, there's no better selfless gift than being an organ donor. And there was like a saying I heard the other day, and it was outlive yourself. And it's like, continuing to live on even after you've passed. It's truly amazing. And our guest of honor will be the May family. So Micah May's widow, Joanna May, will be there with her 2 children. It's kind of talked about her experience, and it's just truly bittersweet, but it's beauty and tragedy. And yeah, we're going to be out there if you want to. It's almost like a coffee with an officer too, or coffee with a trooper. So we're going to have all of our different divisions there. So if you even have any questions with recruiting, I highly encourage you to come out as well, because you can talk to our governor's detail. You can talk to Capitol Police. You can talk to Parole and Probation. You can talk to Highway Patrol. We're all going to be out there, as well as our other agencies. We're going to have Boulder City PD. We're going to have North Las Vegas PD. We're going to have school police. We're going to have everybody. So that way it's just like, it's really a beautiful thing to show that the law enforcement community is behind the Nevada Donor Network, and it's a beautiful partnership that we've established throughout the years. So
that's great. And, we obviously want no tragedy, for anybody, but, sometimes, things happen. And so at least they're able to do that. The officer in New York City had the same thing where, unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries.
Yeah.
But he was able to donate. So, it's very, very important.
Yeah, the gift of life is something that, is there anything bigger than that?
No,
I don't think so,
It's very special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's something that I think for maybe the loved ones, that they don't ever want to think about, like, oh, it's, that this is, but like maybe after we get past the emotion for the moment, it's sort of maybe like a really wonderful gift to be able to give to someone that you don't know, right?
Yeah,
I mean, most of the time, right? And so
it's almost like a sense of peace, if you want to say.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. One thing I also wanted to talk about was that unfortunately we had many tragedies over the past couple weeks.
Yes.
One of the things that I was talking with my friend, and on Sunday I went for a drive, and so you're driving on the freeway, and you're at 75, and then you go to 85, and you realize that there's no cars, right? And so there's because there's not a lot of cars on the road on Sunday, right? And so you don't realize how fast you're actually going.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just driving like I was just driving, and it was really nice. But in the back of my mind, as interesting as this is going to be very interesting, I kept thinking about our conversations, and secondarily, I kept thinking about that person, which we won't name any names, with the Dodge Charger that the NTSB was here and all these things with the North Las Vegas and that big tragedy, right?
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I go, 100 miles an hour is so fast
Yeah.
that, on the freeway you don't think about it, right? Because, you're just cruising along and, the speed limit's 65 and, it's very easy to go over the speed limit, right? Because you're just, listening to the music and you're just cruising along. But, speed, and we talk about it all the time, but speed kills.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that there is a difference between a car and a truck. And 60 miles an hour in a car and 60 miles an hour in a truck are totally different.
Yes.
One is a missile, and one you can try to slow down, but it's still you're going very fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got to think the amount of weight that a truck bears compared to maybe a passenger car.
Yeah.
When they make impact on a fixed object or moving object, so that all plays factor too. And I think really what it comes down to is your reaction time. If you're traveling at speeds of that fast, you got to be able to react that fast, and our cars aren't going to slow down that fast. And so you have to have, that's why we always say, make sure you have enough distance between you and the car in front of you, because if, I don't know, a dog ran in the road and the car in front of you slams on their brakes, or the traffic in front of them, they weren't paying full attention and they slow down and you weren't ready for it. You want to have enough time to slow down without making a crash or an impact. And so even though our cars they drive smoother now, they don't shake as much. It's very you're just cruising, right? And I get it, but when you start to see the impact that speed has and the fatal consequences it causes, that's when you really start to see, like you said, you're driving, you're like, wait a second, I'm going 85, and a gentleman that was going over 100 took the life of 9 people. Like, oh my goodness, right? Or I believe it was 8, 9 including himself, and it's just like, wait, like, is it worth it? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So you really just slow down.
And so that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so I normally would drive fast, because I'm in the car and I'm like, I don't get to drive. But what I noticed was that when you're at the speed on the freeway, some of these cars, they're blowing past you like, not to make mention of any type of car, it doesn't matter, but a normal 4-door sedan, you know what I mean? So I noticed also that I pay attention more in the rear view, because I watch for those people traveling at a high rate of speed coming up from behind me. And as soon as I see that, I immediately pull over. Not pull over to the side of the road, but get out of the lane and just let them.
So I had Sergeant Smacka actually send me a picture last night, because talking about traffic, if you're on the highway and there's not that much traffic, it's easier to go faster, right? Because there's no obstacles in front of you to slow you down, if you want to say.
Yeah.
So we see that speeds tend to go maybe a little higher sometimes on Graveyard because there's not as much traffic. And that is why we are out there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, because we need to slow these drivers down. Just because there's less traffic does not mean you can go faster. And so last night he actually sent me a vehicle that was traveling at 140 miles an hour. And they stopped that vehicle, and that person was arrested for reckless driving, because just because you think you can control your vehicle at that speed, if you hit a pothole, if you swerve at all, your car is going to overturn. If you strike anyone, if you don't realize that the car in front of you is going 65 miles an hour and you're going 140, again, with the reaction time to decrease your speed so that you don't hit them, because they're only going 65 miles an hour.
Right.
And it's like that amount of force with the impact, it's deadly, right? Like, there's no other word. It's deadly. You're going to kill somebody. You're going to probably kill yourself as well. So it's just not worth it. And these people driving this fast, it's just, honestly, it comes down to personal responsibility and being responsible for your own actions. If you're going to get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, you don't need to travel at speeds that high. The posted speed limit's there for a reason, for your safety as well as others. as well as, we always go back to impairment. Like, you need to think twice, plan ahead. Do not
Yeah.
get behind the wheel if you're impaired. Like, there's so many options out there, ride shares, city transportation, there's family, friends. I mean, you can go on and on. There's no excuse to ever drive impaired. And last year we lost 382 lives, and top 2 leading causes was speed and impairment. And it's our mission out there. It's always been our mission, but this year especially, like, I think the public is really starting to see the fatal consequences for people's actions and not being responsible. And if seeing is believing, then, as hard as it is to see and hear about these tragic stories, maybe it makes people think twice. And as an example, yourself, our conversations, and
100%.
you seeing that on the news, the tragedy and the ripple effect, and everyone that was affected by it. A mother's burying 7 of her children for the actions of one, and it's not okay. And it's beyond tragic. But if that slows people down, then maybe you need to see what we see and walk in our shoes for a minute, and then you'd see why we're so passionate about slowing you down. We don't want to give you a ticket. We want you to be safe, So I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. And one life is too many. And so 382 for the entire state of Nevada is just devastating.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I know for me it did good. Guy came in the other store. I forgot to tell you, the guy came in the store the other day. He goes, "What you're doing with the troopers is great. Keep doing it on Thursdays," because he was watching.
Oh, cool.
And so I know maybe it didn't save my life, but here's what I'm going to tell you. It certainly stopped me, because there was no one around, from going at a higher rate of speed, because all that I kept thinking about is, for what reason?
Yeah.
Enjoy your drive. Just do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And just enjoy yourself. Why do you need to go that higher rate of speed, and then something happens, somebody comes out in the middle of the road, and it's a tragedy?
I can't tell you how
so-
many
and
fatal
so-
crashes I've been on where an animal ran in the roadway, or like I said, there was a pothole, or somebody got a flat tire and overcorrected their steering. But because they're traveling at a high rate of speed, it led to a fatal consequence. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Just not worth it.
it's not worth it.
So, 140 miles an hour, wrong way driver.
Yeah.
You don't have any. I mean, not that you're driving to react to a wrong way driver, but we saw that video. I don't know if we have it on here, but where they showed the video of the car with the wrong way driver, where the guy was coming this way, and one car was able to swerve out of the way.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Right, and then but the second car was, for whatever reason, was just traveling, but he didn't have enough time to move, and so that's the one that hit the wrong way driver. Wrong way driver, right?
So this one right here, the preliminary details were, and this was 95 in Auto Show, and I live in Henderson, so this one really hit home for me. Not only do they all hit home because you relate your family to it, but I was on this highway traveling to a children's charity event at the Speedway when this came out. So it had just happened probably 15 minutes before I was coming northbound on this highway. So I had seen the aftermath, and I thought to myself, that could have been me. That could have been my family. That could have been, my loved ones. And it just makes you disgusted just to think about it. Luckily, nobody was seriously injured in this crash. But if you look at the damage on both of these vehicles, because what they did was the wrong way drivers coming southbound and the northbound, and they actually sideswiped.
Okay, so this is like this. Okay, I see.
Yeah, so our wrong way driver, if I remember correctly, was the Dodge. I think it was the Dodge.
Okay.
Either way, you see where they sideswiped. If they would have been over even a few more inches, that would have been complete driver. And probably both drivers would have lost their lives that day because of the actions of one. And as it's like butterfly effect, like just a few inches can change the whole impact of what could have happened, right? And so luckily nobody lost their life in this crash, but it was that close to taking the life of someone because of the irresponsible actions of one. And this driver was arrested for suspicion of impairment. And it just...
And this is the middle of the day, right?
It was right in the morning. Yeah. It's like around 6:37 a.m.
But I mean, like,
people
this
are going
isn't
to
like,
work.
Right.
Getting up, starting their day. It was a beautiful Sunday morning, and it's just like, for what? So, we did get the car stopped, obviously, but after the fact, we really appreciate the community on this one. They called us. We got a lot of calls on this one. We were trying to get there as fast as we could. And it was within minutes we got there, but minutes feel like hours when you're dealing with a wrong way, because you've seen it with people sending in videos and stuff. You're just waiting for it to hit someone or something, and it's just like, and so we're trying to get there as fast as we can. So just thank you again to the community for calling this one in, because we wouldn't have been able to get there as soon as we did if it wasn't for them.
And I also notice on this GMC, so they have the airbags.
Yeah.
And so one of the other things, and I don't know if they were or were not, but, I just want to talk about the fact of seat belts.
Yes, good point.
And the seat belt, if the person is not wearing the seat belt, then these other airbags and stuff not only could cause bodily harm, but, there could potentially be, serious injury because it's not restraining you, right?
Correct. Anytime you have any form of impact, you always should be wearing your seatbelt, first of all, to prevent you from getting any further injuries. It's meant to keep you in place. But we also have, it's tested, the amount of force comes out of that airbag is meant to counteract with the seatbelt. So the seatbelt is supposed to hold you back as that airbag deploys. And if you're not wearing your seatbelt, then it's not taking that restraint into consideration. And so when you hit the airbag with that amount of force, it's going to cause more injuries, like you just said. And, those airbags are there to protect you, not hurt you. And so if you wear your seatbelt, you're going to, it's going to protect you longer. Like, it's going to prevent you from receiving further injuries, like you said.
Yeah. And I always stress the seatbelt because when I drive the car with the top down, there's a few parts of Las Vegas where they have such a bump in the road that you almost feel like you're going to pop out.
Yeah.
And so
That's funny.
I always stress the seatbelt, that it's very, very important, and for safety too. But
yeah.
And so, but thank goodness they're both good. And, again, no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No
this guy
excuse.
could have probably, $50 or whatever it cost him to get a ride home or wherever he was going.
Yeah.
And,
No excuse.
No excuse. All right. How about this one? Crash leaves 9 dead, 1 critical in North Las Vegas. So, Nevada Highway Patrol, this is North Las Vegas, but, you're all, together, and so.
The first thing I did when I saw this crash was I called the public information officer at North Las Vegas, and I said, what do you need? Like, do you need help? Do you need resources? Do you need our units out there? This is such a tragic event. I think it really rocked everybody in the community because that number is just, 1 is too many, but that number is just devastating.
So I was watching this on the TV, and I saw that the NTSB came, and they're doing the guy came and he's talking about this whole thing and how they're doing all these studies and all the stuff that they're doing, and I couldn't believe it. And so this event was one event that, in the eyes of tragedy, made me think about not driving fast.
Yeah.
As I said, we could have a conversation of, how fast speed is in comparison to a highway versus a city street that has, more things where people can come in and out and all this. But at the end of the day, speed is speed.
Yeah.
Right? And so no one has business doing 100 miles an hour on a city street. But even if you get past that, we feel for the family.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we talk about always is that somebody's not coming home to dinner.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, family literally has to bury 7 of their children.
Trooper Wellman, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
Trooper
for having
Talk
me.
is great. Over. The 14th, tell us again.
So Valentine's Day, February 14th, it's a Monday, between 9 and 11. Come on down to our Southern Command, Sunset Decatur. You can come talk to officers. We're going to have pretty much every agency out there, and it's really it's National Donor Day, and we're out there to promote and have the community come on out and register to be organ donors and save a life.
So Trooper Wellman, thank you very much for another edition of Trooper Talk. It was great. We want everyone to be safe, and so we'll see you real soon.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone be safe.